We have also been tentatively been awarded by EDA and IEDC a new Economic Development Recovery Corps member. We should get the contract for that on the 29th, but essentially it will buy Washington County an additional economic developer for 2.5 years, fully paid for by EDA. We've also received $13,000 in small business grant money from Regions, and then they have invited us to Birmingham to present to their larger board for a bigger ask than what they've typically been giving, which are the $10,000 increments. In terms of strategy, we're working on a couple of different things. So I've submitted a grant last week, $600,000 to Walton Family Foundation, which will help us coordinate a strategy from Leland to Greenville in terms of retail, hotel, and accommodation sectors, but should also help us with a couple of the other bounds, especially Leland on working on agriculture and ag-adjacent work to fill out the industrial park. So we're currently coordinating that. And I also wanted to let you know I did my ride-through of Leland with USDA, and we are prioritizing a list of community facility projects to go after grant dollars, but I'd love to schedule an additional meeting with you to just sort of digest city direction. I've met with their chamber, but just want to get a couple more voices on it. And also with the city of Greenville, we're working on a $2 million SIF application that we're hoping to submit by the end of this month. And then I have Carolyn coordinating meetings with Arcola and Metcalf, just so we're making sure that we're kind of keeping into context some of our more rural communities and making sure that we're being inclusive of them. I don't need it today because I know it might be reactionary, but one of the things I've asked the municipalities to give us is just a list of priorities of where they think we could lean in and maybe work towards them with. If I could also get that from the Board of Supervisors in terms of, you know, if you have any sort of strategic direction or planning or where you're wanting us to maybe look at philanthropic dollars to fund some of the projects that maybe we don't have the zeros for today, but in the long end is sort of a goal for us. If y'all want to just send that to me or to my office or just set up a meeting, we are beginning to just coordinate that list, aggregate it all together and align it so we can figure out budgets. Carl has been great so far, and so is Mark in the back of sort of helping us suss out some of that budget and that programmatic narrative, but anything anyone can amplify to us, we'd appreciate. With that, I'll entertain any questions or thoughts.
First, I was just going to thank you for coming in, running hard in Washington County, because, you know, this something to start solidifying the future of the county. One of my concerns is, are we looking at anything on the bypass piece on, they call it TIF districts or anything like that?
And say that last part again.
TIF districts.
Okay. Yeah, we can begin exploring some of that. Now, there are things we are looking at with the bypass, particularly on the retail strategy of bringing in a third-party contractor. I actually met with them last week in Williamsburg at the SEDC conference. So the group who did downtown Starkville's downtown plan, they also did the interstate between there and Columbus. They're called Retail Strategies. They're based in Birmingham, Alabama. They also did Pearl, so like when the airport began to develop the outlet malls and the other retail strategies on there, they did it. They did downtown Cleveland, and then they did the city of Clinton. Okay. So they're familiar with communities like ours. What we have kind of told them is we have very specific boundaries we want to look to do that, and they bookend it. So they work with the recruitment side, they work with the property owners, they work with the county and the municipal engineers. I mean, they do all of it. So we're looking at bringing them in. We're kind of back and forth right now on budget, but essentially to fill in Leland to Greenville along the bypass, and then to also just take a right and a left on the bookends of it to do downtown Leland and downtown Greenville.
Supervisor Gordon? Anyone else? Any questions? Mr. Birch? Justin, we appreciate you coming out this morning.
Thank you much.
And I look forward to continuing to work with you. Ms. Redmond, planning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How everybody doing?
Good, good.
Well, I'm here for the application for a permit for use and occupancy on Sligo Road. It's the Black Bayou Water. I don't know if it's association that just had Black Bayou Water. And we're here to, it's a 40-foot, 2-inch casing bored to the house with a 1-inch water line.
Okay. That's you, in your
Yeah,
district.
it is. So moved.
I got a motion. I need a second.
Second.
And I got a second, Supervisor Benson. Appreciate it. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else?
Thank you.
Hey,
Okay,
appreciate
thank
you.
you. Thank
Ms. Andrew Smith. Mr. Willie Hess.
Good morning. I'm still here by the Ann Drive-In Road. I appreciate what they did a week or so ago. They put that white gravel down there, and when you come through, it's like a white sheet up there.
Dusty.
Air conditioner gets stopped up on it so bad.
Okay.
On the Ann Drive-In Road where it goes back into 82, on the corner that's rode up so bad
Perry,
that
Perry back there.
I was coming in
Perry, off the Perry.
from the east. A tractor was coming out with the wide panels on it. If I hadn't looked behind, I'd have had a wreck right there. Hit the whole road covered. And when you're coming, going back east and trying to turn in, right there it's rode up so bad, you got to pull right in front of the Ann Road to even turn in before you see somebody coming out. So it's a real safety hazard there. And I also like to talk about the ditch again in front of St. Peter East Church.
St. what?
St. Peter East.
St. Peter East.
It's full of water. They just want to drain out there.
Okay.
It's bad. They got that old green algae in there. Just hold it there. And that is it for right now.
That's amazing, because all those issues in district.
I understand you.
All right. But, Mr. Hess, let me give it Mr. Perry. You have his contact information? Did you give her your contact information so we can talk with you? Make sure we get these issues resolved. All right. That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
All right. We'll get with you, Mr. Hess.
Okay.
Carl Goodman.
Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning.
What we wanted to do was come and offer you an option on the 2022 audit report. Right now, we're waiting on 2 component unit audits, one of them being hospital. And I think that you had received a letter last Thursday or Friday about that they think that they can get it done by September 30. Well, we've been kind of through with our part of the, the county audit since springtime. And what you can do is, if we exclude those component
No.
units, you have to take an adverse opinion on them. Which, we have had others to do that. It doesn't seem to affect the county at all, as far as borrowing or any other things that y'all might do, But we wanted to see if you guys would be interested in doing that, so we can go ahead and get this report out.
Everybody understand?
No, I don't.
You don't. Carl, would you?
Our standard requires that, any component units that are of the county have to be included in your report that we do. And right now, we don't have the audit reports to include the information required on those component units.
So why don't you have audit report?
They
Well-
haven't completed them just yet. They're still
Right.
working on them.
And what year we talking about?
2022.
So why is 2022 not complete?
We have the same question, Ms. Brooks, with the hospital, but we'll get with them and get the information. Okay? And the Port Commission?
Yes, I would have thought that theirs typically gets done, but I'm going to call Ann and see.
Carl, we'll reach out this week to both entities and see if we can get that squared away, so we can make sure we're complete. So we can,
Are those the only 2 entities you're talking about?
Yes, sir. And we have the library, and we actually do that particular audit.
any other questions?
I have a
Lee?
question.
Lee?
That, so they said they'd have it done in September, is what they're
They
telling you?
said now this is
30th.
what I think the letter said, by September 30th, assuming that they got all the information that they needed to complete. We have the new lease
Okay.
standard.
Is there a downside of waiting on that at this point?
No, Noel, we're just trying to finish up and get that year completed and filed.
But other than y'all, I mean, there's no downside to waiting since we went this long with it till September the 30th?
Not really.
And after you get that, how long will it take you to finish it, to complete?
I'm to the point, all I have to do is put in their numbers, and that, I mean, I'm a couple days. The issue with us is once I do complete that input, we have to send ours to the audit office for review. And that, sometimes it gets turned around pretty quick, but usually a couple weeks at least is tied up, getting finalized with the audit office.
But if we move forward without that, there is a chance it could have an adverse effect on us.
It will have an adverse opinion because they're not there.
Yeah,
We would remove them and you would take an adverse opinion on your component.
right.
But it really, we haven't seen it affect the others where they've elected to do that. For the same situation, where can't get the component unit on.
Yeah.
But, so we're just offering that option so we could get that 2022.
I would say at this point, we just wait to, wait on September the 30th. I wouldn't go forward without it since we've waited this
Oh,
long.
no, not go forward, but we have to make contact with them to find out, let them know the urgency of the matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
And get that squared away, and we'll do it both entities.
And I know that Horn was doing one audit usually.
Yeah,
it's,
Horn was, they sent a letter on Friday saying September 30th.
Okay. And we'll make them
and I'm
aware of the
sure they
deadline
are.
as well.
That would probably be a tough audit year for them.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have a question, Councilman, have you reached out to the two, entities?
Well, we made contact with the hospital.
We've made contact
Yeah.
with the Port Commission and with the hospital.
And what they said?
And what the hospital, Friday sent a letter, actually, their, auditing,
Firm.
firm sent a letter saying that they were gonna be finished by September 30th.
But along with that, I will give them a phone call to see exactly where we are, and they understand the wishes of this board. Anything else, Mr. Goodman?
And that's all I have today.
We appreciate you.
So what's the
Yeah.
board's decision now?
The board decision is, we're going to make contact with them to let them know the urgency of the matter. We understand they're willing to work up until the 30th of September to get it done, but we need to just let them know that they need to be mindful that this is important to us.
And it's really important because at the end of the day, for us to apply for any federal dollars, our audit
Right.
has to be intact,
Right.
which means
That's the
compliance.
concern.
All right, anyone else?
Usually when it goes past that September 30 into that new or subsequent year after it, they'll shut your money off.
Well, you know what I would say, I don't think we need to wait till September, I think we may need to put a deadline, maybe September 25th, so we can have our audits, submitted before the 30th, because I just don't want us getting caught up in any situations, and it appears that Washington County is out of compliance on a federal level.
Anyone else?
Well, I think y'all have already reached out, and they said they would have it ready on the 30th.
Yeah,
No,
we're good.
We reached out to them.
You
and
reached out, they said they'd have it
That's
on the
what the
30th.
letter said.
On
Okay.
Friday.
With a caveat there.
Yeah,
like
there's a
I
caveat.
said,
All right. Anything else, Mr. Goodman?
But if y'all change, if the board changes its mind, decides to go, we certainly are ready.
All right, right now, we won't choose to go without it. We'll wait. Appreciate your help.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
Good morning.
Good. Glad you came out to join us this morning.
Every opportunity to attend a board meeting is really great. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. As the folk where I'm from said, it could have been the other way. Now, what is this?
We just need,
Okay. Thank you so
Yes,
very
sir.
much. Do you all have do you all have the handout that I left for you all?
yes,
I added one to it. It's the 2013 home rent program.
we admitted to the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Okay, well, for Mrs. Hansel's record, so she'll have, the order and everything. You pass that down to her. And I'll just keep the rest of it. It's just the last one on the back page, Ms. Hansel,
Okay.
and I'll do that last. First thing we received one bid for the, kitchen improvements at the South Washington County Multiplex Facility. Several months ago, the board appropriated, I think it was $75,000 for the kitchen improvements. The one bid, Sarpong, you wanna come and present that? Do you have that, Ms. Hampton?
I do.
Okay.
have it, one bid.
I have one bid.
Mr. Turner? We have one bid.
If it's pursuant to a valid advertisement, you.
Can't hear you. Yep. Yep. It's off now.
If, the bid was received pursuant to a valid, notice of bid, in the local newspaper of joint circulation in the county can be considered by the board.
Good enough. Lee?
So
No, I was looking at, turn your mic around, your mic's hitting,
You gotta get
turn
it
your
out.
mic around, it's inside your, no, it's in your jacket, it's rubbing your shirt. Just flip it out.
We got to get it out first.
The bid was, you had your bid tabulation sheet. It was from, Timbo Construction Company.
Now, the two I have, I've got one with David Smith and Timbo,
David Smith requested the plans.
but did not.
But he did not submit a bid. So there was only one bid, submitted.
Oh, this is, okay, from mill to mill. Okay, I
Yes,
got
ma'am,
it.
yes, ma'am.
And now,
You have the bid.
You have it.
You
Hold up.
have the bid.
Everybody don't have it. I got two supervisors without it.
Well, we passed them, Mrs. Hanson, this
Oh, I'm
bid
sorry.
sheet.
The bid sheet.
Okay, we got them now. I'm sorry about that.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, go ahead, Ms. Ansel. You got the sheet, bid sheet.
I don't have,
Wait a
You
minute.
don't have the bid?
I don't have.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Time out. Ms. Andrew, move
Yes.
on to something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Item number 2, request for qualifications for environmental services related to the whole health department in Hollandale.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion? Got a second? Mr. Griffin?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. We are requesting.
Turn your mic back on.
We are requesting qualification. Have we gotten that deed yet?
No, sir. You have not, I have not received the deed from the clerk's office.
Can't move.
No. What I'm asking you is, so we don't have a deed, confirming that Washington County has the property
No,
yet?
sir. Remember on Friday when we met, we discussed that?
Yes, sir. And I was under the impression that before we proceed on any other matter,
Yeah.
we was gonna resolve that issue first.
All righty, well, that's fine with me.
I received my motion.
Order number 3, item number 3, order appropriating $100,000 to the Elks Lodge, 1818 East Alexander Street for tourism, hospitality, economic development, planning and facility improvements related to ventilation, sanitation, accessibility to accommodate exhibits, tours, and other public activities. Example given, voting, exhibits, and other tourism-related activities.
So,
Questions?
yes, well, more comment, because it is a voting district, it's in District 4, and I'm asking each supervisor if they would consider donating $20,000 apiece out the opera dollars.
That's a question that everybody understand? Go ahead, Lee.
My first question, is that legit on the ARPA dollars, spending on that? Is that a legit expenditure on that?
And are you asking
Yes.
the board attorney, and I don't know the answer to that,
Well, let me ask.
because I'm assuming that this, the Elks has been vetted, and it has been determined that they meet all the qualifications and that they fulfill the federal compliance guidelines.
I am of that opinion, sir.
You're
Sir?
of that opinion.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They are a nonprofit organization, and ARPA funding can be used for matters related to tourism, hospitality, and it is my understanding that the Elks will be doing tours related to their involvement in the community throughout the years. There's an issue with ventilation, so the ventilation improvements that will be made would assist that organization in preventing the spread of COVID
Yes,
to others.
and that is not response to the question I asked, whether you have reviewed their 990s and et cetera, and
Can't hear you,
ensured
Mr.
that
Yes, sir.
you have reviewed 990s and ensured that they are in compliance.
I have not reviewed their 990. However, they currently have an EIN number. It will be approved just like the other one that you all recently did, subject to, they would not be able to receive any funding prior to providing the county with this unique employer identifier number.
Ms. Griffin, let me ask you this. If this board approves that, and each put in five, or put in their share of money, and it comes back that they're not in compliance, where would the demand letter go for repayment, to Mr. Smith
Well,
or to the individual supervisor?
the demand for repayment will go to the individual supervisors regardless of the amount of funds, okay? It could be, a demand could be for, and it will go to you individually and not to the county. Let's get that clearly
Understand.
understood. Because, you know, those who vote to approve it. So, and that would be my response to that. All, you know, the city's park commissioners just got hit similarly, okay, because of their vote. So you want all the information when you vote to allocate some funds. And
I have provided this morning all of the information that I have relative to the request, and I don't see this request as being any different from any previously submitted request for allocation to this board. I would not stand before you and present something that is not an eligible activity.
have we done a nonprofit before outside?
All of them have to be nonprofits.
No, have, you know, your
Yes.
past recommendation.
Yes, we did one to the Hines Street Community Development Corporation.
50,000.
Yeah. That was in my district that I gave up 50,000 for that community development organization. Anyone want to comment? I'll let me go ahead, Lynn.
On something like this, again, you know, when we first got this money in, we had allocated it for certain things, and it continues to change and stuff, and I'm not willing to, I mean, because everything that was allocated, mine is kind of accounted for. If you've got it in your, you know, because we all agreed to kind of, in each district, to use some of that money as a whole, you know, and if you want to use your money, let me back, it's not your money, it's the county money, but you know what I'm saying, in your district, rather. However, I do hear, still, in the attorney's voice, I hear a little concern about it. It's the only thing that concerns me. And if he's good with it, you know, but again, far as if it's your part of it that you're wanting to work in your district, and, you know.
Anyone
But
else?
I wouldn't be willing to do.
And can I say this before, Ms. Brooks? With respect to Hines Street, I did have and review the information that they provided in advance. Now, you were in my office.
Friday at 3 o'clock.
Yes, and you didn't share any of that information with me that you had reviewed, and I certainly would like to review the information in fairness, okay?
Okay, well, the next two items,
Wait a minute, hold up. Stay on this item, sir.
On this item, I do have a question. So Bishop Benson, would you be willing to donate 25,000?
Yeah, pending the legalities of it. If it's
Wait,
legal,
how much you got left?
I got 25,000.
Okay, Mr. President,
Hey.
would you be willing to donate 25,000?
No, let me be clear with you and the members from the Elks Club. You know, my priority in my district was to make sure every citizen had access to safe drinking water. We've committed $300,000 to 3 different water associations. And we have a number of other things that are coming up. Plus, we got a request to help the school district, elementary schools, to replace some playground equipment. So no, I would not be participating.
Would you be?
Yeah, I'm good.
So I'd like to donate $50,000, and the other 2 supervisors from District 5 and District 2, $50,000 together. So I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the $100,000 for illness.
Got a motion? I need a second. Bishop?
Second.
Thank you, Jerry. Got a second, Supervisor Redmond. If there are no questions, all in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No more.
Opposed.
That motion carries.
All right, the second one would be.
3-2. Yes, ma'am.
Item number 4 would be order approving the sub-recipient agreement, and I will get that to Mr. Griffin for his review. And, it's the same as all of the rest of them, same language. Only thing that changes in the sub-recipient agreement is the name of the entity and the, EIN number. And with this one, it would be approved subject to receiving that UEI number.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
I got a second. Everybody understand? No
Are
questions?
y'all doing the money the same on that? We're on item 4, which item are you on now?
4.
Yeah, that's approving the agreement itself. Same thing. Any questions, Bishop? You good? No other questions? All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
That's still 3-2. Motion carries.
Item number 5, order appropriating $100,000 to the Mississippi Action for Community Education, 819 Main Street, Suite R, for tourism, hospitality, and economic development related to the annual International Blues Festival for expenses that directly impact tourism, hospitality, and economic development.
Questions, comments?
So you want me to do this?
Now, every bit of my money is already allocated,
I'm
is what I'm
gonna
saying,
say.
yeah.
Okay, Mr. President, we go to
It's-
President, would you be able to donate?
My money is counted for, Ms. Brooks.
Supervisor,
Benson.
would you donate 25,000?
Who you want, Redmond?
I'm sorry, Supervisor Benson, I'm sorry, would you
Oh,
donate
okay.
25,000?
I just want to, anything I have the funds, I'm not sure
You
if I
tight.
have it.
You better
You
back
tight.
off.
I'm
You're gonna have
tight.
a conflict.
I
Your
spent
money's on the board.
quite a bit.
You already did it before, when we gave next month.
Hmm?
When we gave next
Ms.
30,000.
Brooks.
Yeah, but
Would
the-
you be able to
Yeah,
donate
go
to?
ahead.
I'd like to donate
Okay.
donate $50,000 to me, so I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with $100,000.
I got a motion. I need a second. Redmond? Got a got a second Supervisor Redmond. Now, I'm gonna put this on the table.
You got a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, the same principle applies here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to remind you all of something. We had a similar issue in LaFleur County with the same funds. And they made a similar contribution. And there were demand letters that were given to everyone with the exception of one supervisor who did not vote to allocate those funds. You have a similar situation here. I'm gonna leave it where it is, but it's extremely important that when you're dealing with federal dollars, 2 things. You have to know what you're doing in order to protect yourself. And once you pass these federal dollars on to a particular entity, you bring them under additional scrutiny with these federal dollars. If they owe tax or anything like that, that becomes a concern. Yes or no?
And I think, I'm assuming that this was properly vetted.
It is my understanding that the Mississippi Action for Community Education is a nonprofit entity.
Yes.
And for a number of years, they have been involved with economic development through the International Blues Festival that they have. It would be considered economic development, tourism, and hospitality. ARPA funds can be used for those purposes. As with this particular request, it will be the same as all the rest of them. They are reimbursable. No money is paid until they provide the documentation that the expenses, the money expended has been done according to the ARPA final rule and the most recent interim final rule.
Did you determine who the board members are?
The information that they submitted to me identified the current interim executive director, and that it did have a list of board members. I didn't read all of that, but I just looked at what the request was for and determined that it was for an eligible hospitality, tourism, economic development are ARPA eligible expenses.
Did you determine whether any board members are related
Can't
to
hear you.
any members of the Board of Supervisors?
I think there's one. The only one would be Mrs. Barbara Brooks. But I think in that situation, And that will be for you to determine. The money is not going to Ms. Brooks. And I think she would have to recuse herself from any approvals or anything like that. But that's something for you as the attorney to look into. I am here this morning to present to you a request from the Mississippi Action for Community Education. They're requesting $100,000. That's what I presented this morning. And I wouldn't, again, I would not come before you to make a presentation for something that wasn't an eligible activity.
Good enough.
So-
All right, we gotta, go ahead, Mr. Griffin. Finish
So
closing down.
are you saying that with respect to this particular recommendation, if a board member has a relative on the board, that person will have to recuse themselves? That would also apply to making recommendations. Is that correct, under the conflicts of interest law?
I am not that knowledgeable of conflicts of interest law, but as a county attorney, I would certainly result to, your recommendation.
Yes.
I am here to present a request, and if you find that it is an inappropriate request, then I would ask that you would make that opinion. And
Good.
we move to the next item.
Okay. Then, Mr. Smith, I hear what you're saying, and my concern still stands. When you bring these organizations under additional federal scrutiny by giving them these dollars, it concerns me. And you're gonna have a vote to approve this morning. And I only wish that these board members who are going to vote for it would not be penalized, that you would be held accountable to pay these funds back since they're doing it at your advice.
No, they are doing this at the request of the organization. And I would ask that if you all are aware of a reason why they should not be awarded this funding, that you should say that and
You-
share that.
Your
I-
job is to vet these entities,
My
not this
job
board.
has been completed.
All right, good enough. With
So
that
if
said,
you all- but
all
if
in
you
favor,
all
show by
know
sign of
the
aye.
reason why it should not be approved,
Any
then I would certainly
opposed?
appreciate that.
I got two.
Nay.
Was anybody for?
Aye.
Ms. Redmond? All right, I got this 3-2, motion carries. Anything else, sir?
Before you leave, okay, you said $50,000. What's the, I need some clarity
It's
on that.
$100,000.
Right.
50 coming from, District 4, 25 and 25.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item number 7. Ms. McGee, we had a discussion about the airport entrance and lighting project that you all received. And if you are ready to move forward with that, this would authorize.
No.
Okay.
Let me share this with the board, and I should have asked Ms. Carter to bring the award letter. But, we had a conversation months ago about working on Airedale Drive here in the city of Greenville, doing some work on Esther Street in Metcalf, and my question to the board was, would the board be willing to use county funds to do this work? Of course, the board said no. Every community will have to put up the funding. We would supply the equipment and the manpower. And, with that said, I get this strange phone call, not a strange phone call, but it had inquired and was asked about projects that needed funding because the lieutenant governor had extra funds. And of course, we received $600,000 through this process for the Greenville Airport. That money will go to Greenville for them to decide what they're going to do with it. And of course, we'll do like we do the other funds that we manage for Greenville. We'll pay receipts in order to make sure we're in compliance with state requirements. And yes, we're gonna need, yes, we'll have to get together, Mr. Smith, and make something happen.
I have a question.
But we also had Sydney Street, it's in the corporate limits of Greenville, of course, Airedale Drive, Esther Street in Metcalf. And I can't remember the total amounts of money for those. I just do remember the $600,000 for the Greenville Airport. Ms. Brooks?
I do have a question. Was the money earmarked to the city of Greenville, or was it earmarked to Washington County?
Let me do this for you. I wish I had the letter. And the letter basically was addressed to me since I made the request.
Okay, again, my question
No.
again, was it earmarked to Washington County, or was it earmarked to Greenville, Mississippi? That's the question.
When I asked, well, it's going to Greenville, Mississippi, well, Greenville Airport, because when I asked for funds for that airport, that's the intent.
Okay, if you can give that letter to us, because I would just like to know how was the dollars earmarked? If it was earmarked
Well-
to Washington County, or was it earmarked to the city of Greenville? That's a
When I feel it
question.
necessary, I will share the letter with you.
Well, it's very necessary, because this board would have to make a decision.
Anyone else?
Are you gonna cut off? It is
I'm
very.
gonna move on.
Okay, as I was saying, it is very important for all of us to know, because this board would have to make a decision on how those dollars will be spent or sent. Not sure yet, until I see how the state of Mississippi sent that money, I can't make a decision, because I need to know how was it earmarked.
Well, I would send you the award letter, but I'm not gonna pick up my phone right now.
Okay, that's
Anyone
fine.
else have any
At the end of the
questions?
day,
But if you all remember, we had people from the legislature come in and explain to us the process, what should happen when you request these funds. And we were just fortunate enough to get these funds. It's the same process we used when we awarded funding at the legislative session for 2022 and 2021, same process. The last one we got was, well, before this one, was for the two bridge projects on Winterville Priscilla Road. And we're in the process now of attempting to use those funds. We've got an extension on the deadline so we won't lose it. But Mr. Smith, we'll get together and make sure everything happened and things are done in order.
Do you all, if you would look at, we need to go back to item number 6, we went from 5 to 7. And item number 6 is approving a subrecipient agreement in the amount of $100,000 to the Mississippi Action for Community Education for tourism, hospitality, and economic development related to the annual International Blues Festival for expenses that directly impact tourism, hospitality, and economic development.
So moved.
Got a motion? I need a second. Jerry, help me out. Got a motion and a second.
I have a, while you have authorized the 100,000, okay, approve them to receive 100,000. Before we execute a contract or subcontract agreement, I would ask that this whole process be vetted to determine whether or not Ms. Brooks has a conflict of interest.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. Ms. Smith, we good?
It's fine with me. I will provide the documents to Mr.
All right,
Griffin.
I got a motion and a second. And even with that, I'm gonna go ahead and carry this motion
I
before,
would ask that the motion not be carried until we resolve that.
based on,
Based on my opinion that there's, and even Mr. Smith shared with us a potential conflict that Ms. Brooks couldn't vote on, okay?
well, what
so
did she, God, oh, wait a minute.
No, that's not what I said, Mr. Griffin.
That's
I said
exactly
I
what you said.
No, sir, you asked me if I was aware of anyone who had a relative on that board. But
And you
advising anybody how to vote or conflict of interest, that's gonna be the attorney's position.
That's correct,
Yes,
but
sir.
you also indicated that during your statement that Ms. Brooks may have to recuse herself. Remember that?
I did say that, sir.
Yes, you did.
Can't hear you, Ms. Smith.
I did say that.
Thank you. So,
Mr. Attorney Griffin,
yes,
I'm very comfortable on how I vote. And
Okay.
until then, I'm gonna vote this way, and if the state says I would have to recuse myself, I will, but right now, I will not.
Ms. Brooks,
Because I'm very comfortable on how I vote.
Ms. Brooks. I wish there was a way you could recuse and we could get you what you wanted, but
Well,
Let's-
I won't
let's move the
recuse. I
to
have
be,
no
be
problem.
safe, be safe
I'm
about
very
it.
comfortable on how I
Now,
vote.
let me say this to the other board members. You need to realize what you're doing when you cast your vote. I'm extremely concerned, about the way this money is being handled and the way that these organizations are being brought into this. Like I said, extra scrutiny that they might not even be aware of. But it's the wishes of the three people on the board. Mr.
Yeah.
Griffin? And now,
Can I say
no,
this,
no,
Mr.
no,
President?
Ms. Smith. You can, Mr. Griffin.
yes. I am probably a 42, 43-year supporter of Mace. I have donated to them. Every year they have had a blues festival since I've been practicing law. At least 1,000 plus, okay? And so I'm a strong supporter of Mace. I have been an advocate for Mace through my law firm. However, through an abundance of caution, I would ask that y'all allow me to take a look at this.
Board understand? If you understand, I need to rescind the second or to rescind the motion itself.
Sir?
I need to rescind that motion. I got a motion and a second on the table. What's the
Well,
process?
Well, you can ask that they voted up or down. Ms. Brooks said
I
she's
know how they gonna
comfortable.
vote.
Well, okay.
I feel like when it comes to legal process, it's him and left, and then I feel like he is in charge of the ARPA money, and I feel like the right paperwork should be presented before we do anything. I mean, we can say this, but once it's time to pass the buck, I think it needs to be processed and everything needs to be in order.
Well, in order to do that, you need to rescind your second. Rescind your second. Otherwise, you need to rescind the second that you made of the motion. If you believe in what you
Can't
just said,
rescind it, you can withdraw it.
you can withdraw it, I'm sorry.
Well, did you say that it was, be a record showing whether or not?
As it relates to the Mississippi Action for Community Education, my recommendation to this board is based on the ARPA final rule eligibility. It is a nonprofit organization that currently has an EIN number, and they have had a SAMS.gov account for quite some time with a UEI number, because they've had a program within the last 2 years that they closed out. So I am looking for the documentation from the organization based on the ARPA final rule and the most recently issued ARPA interim final rule. I don't know much about Maze other than that they've done some things. I mean, they were very instrumental in the 70s, late 60s, doing some community organizing work. In terms of its internal financial operations, you all mentioned taxes, whatever. I'm not privy to that, and that's not a requirement for making this recommendation. Now, if you all are aware of an issue or any issues relative to any concerns that you feel would not qualify this organization to receive the awards, then I would ask that you all, lean heavily on that. And of course, the recommendation of your attorney. I'm not aware of what seemingly will present a problem. We discussed the conflict of interest issue. My presentation this morning is based on the eligibility requirements that's outlined in the ARPA final rule and its most recent interim rule. On anything else that you all know or want to share or feel that it shouldn't be done, then I don't know that.
Okay. All right,
Now,
go ahead.
and certainly that was not the issue. It goes to, the concern, the legal issue goes to whether or not each of these board members can assure us that they have no conflict. And there is doubt because one board member you identified has a relative in the 3rd degree on the board. So
But actually, the first degree, be clear about it.
no, there's no such
Ms.
thing
Brooks,
as
let him finish,
first degree.
please.
Within the 3rd
We're
degree.
gonna come straight to
It's
you.
the first degree.
Yeah, so we would have to resolve that issue, okay, before we can proceed with a contract. Certainly this board can legally find that Mace is otherwise eligible, but who has a right to vote to approve the contract and the finances is a different matter, okay?
Mr. Griffin, I have a motion and a second on the floor, and you've raised a valid issue, in my opinion. And you're gonna have to give me some instructions on how to proceed from here with this motion that has a second, and we're ready to take a vote. Can't hear you, Mr. Attorney.
I'll say you call for the question.
That's just the conversation down.
Yeah.
Well, if no one withdraws the motion, then you have to proceed,
Thank you.
okay?
All right. With that said, and we've asked for the motion to be withdrawn, but it hadn't happened. All in favor of the motion, vote by sign of aye.
Okay, what
Clearly.
I'll do is I will withdraw my motion until we find the legality of it, since it's a concern for the attorney.
Motion's withdrawn. Anything else, Ms. Smith?
Yes, sir. Item 6 on the back side of the paper deals with the Washington County Sportsplex.
6 or number 8?
I'm sorry, eight. The Washington County Sportsplex. Several months ago, you all had a discussion about the Sportsplex. You all discussed countywide recreation, and you all were considering having a team of professionals to come in and assess all of the parks and the facilities and come up with recommendations as it relates to whether it's most beneficial for the county to do a recreation department or create a recreation commission. What this order does is authorize me to prepare a request for professional services related to identifying a professional service provider to assist Washington County Board of Supervisors with establishing a countywide recreation department or recreation commission, provide recommendations for board consideration, and develop a proposed budget based on findings, existing conditions, and other variables deemed appropriate. This is an eligible activity under ARPA because it deals with outdoor recreation.
Need a motion?
Well,
I
now,
move-
Question.
I move that we, I think we need to
Okay.
move with a,
We need approval.
department versus a commission, cause you have to make a decision though.
Well, what this order does is allow you all to reach out to get
Professional service.
professionals to come in and assess the county. And based on what their findings are,
Okay.
then they will recommend either the creation of a recreation department or
Okay.
a recreation commission.
Well,
All right.
I was moved, I'm so moved.
All right, got a motion?
Well, I thought we, at one point, we was reaching out to Valley State or Mississippi State. And
We
they
were.
had departments that they were
They
gonna
had.
come in and meet with us and basically help us set that up. What happened there?
I didn't get close to it. Ms. Brooks met with somebody.
Well, actually, it was the department, they were moving forward, I kind of bring it up, they made some recommendations, I brought it to the board. The board decided they want to step back, and so it just kind of paused, but I think we do need to pick it back up because, they were ready to move forward to do a summer program. But again, when I brought it to this board's attention, we didn't take any action because it was concerned about picking up the facility, where the swimming pool
Right,
is.
it's
And so
Tigers.
the board didn't wanna take action on it, so they paused on it. Then also, I talked about the field, but Mr. President said that he had identified someone to keep the field up. So we really kind of just really stopped the ball because when I brought it to the board's attention, we didn't move forward. But I think the time has come to move forward. We need to put something in action so we be prepared for, January 2024, because we have not made any decisions, but I think we do need a professional to come and advise this board, because it's really new to all of us. And I think we're not making a decision, so I agree, we do need someone to come advise us on where we need to go. I even recommended to the board, Hancock County is just like Washington County. And I talked to them, and they were willing to kind of, navigate us through. I brought this to the board's attention. I told we could meet with them at the MAS conference on the coast, but unfortunately, no one went except for me. So I just think that at this point, we do need some guidance and someone to help this county move forward, so we'll be prepared for our children this summer. For summer 2024.
Let me say this. We have taken action. If y'all remember, you put money in this year's budget for sportsplex activity.
Right.
So I don't know where some people may have been, but if we have not dropped or stopped the ball. Right now, we have our building and grounds crew who's getting things prepped up and ready to go. Matter of fact, we actually have an agreement we're gonna have to sign with Cary Christian School for using Legion Field. That one's ready to go and ready for them.
No, where's Cary Christian School?
Right across from Old Banner.
No, it's
that right?
Unity.
Unity, I'm sorry. Oh, she's so right. That one's down in, that's somewhere else.
But I
Yeah,
hear you, Mr.
you're so right.
President. Now, that's apples and oranges, let's be clear, that's for that school to be able to play sports. We're talking about
Wait,
the county
if you'll
provides-
allow me to finish,
I know
I'm
you-
talking
I know
about the
you-
whole
okay.
sportsplex deal.
Because you
I'm
just
not talking
a
about
school
Legion
being able
Field.
to use the facility.
Yeah.
And we all
And
unanimously
that's ready
passed
to
it
go.
for them.
We did.
But that's
that-
not preparing for our children, for the children of Washington County. That's
All
just
right.
for a school to be able to
All
play
right.
sports.
Well, let me remind the people that you may be listening. This board has not dropped the ball. We did put it in funds in the budget this year for the Sportsplex. We do have our crew, our teams working on the field. We have had some unfortunate things to happen, like people stealing assets off the property, so we did have to close the gate on it. So you'll see that done right now as we speak. But we are moving forward working, and yes, we do need that assistance. I agree with everyone. We do need someone to come in and help us develop a plan moving forward. Supervisor Gordon.
What cost would this be to have someone?
That's why we're doing proposals, we don't really know.
Okay.
It would be based on, what they propose in terms of their submittal, the qualifications and experience.
Mhm.
And then the RFQ, if you all approve this, will identify exactly what you all are looking for to make the determination.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we're just moving forward too now, because as far as, from my understanding, what we had looked at, that we would have to develop a board for this, correct?
Should.
We would have to develop a
board
board.
or commission.
Not-
A
Should.
park
A
commission.
board or department.
Not necessarily. It all will depends on what those recommendations are. I do know this, that the Washington County Board of Supervisors cannot run a park commission and does not have the employees in place to run a park commission. So long-term, eventually this board, and I've said that for several years, will have to create its own park commission with a park director and board to run those parks.
The reason I'm saying that,
Yes.
wouldn't it be better if moving forward, that we develop the park commission first, and they would be in on this, on the beginning of it to get this thing started?
And I thought we were working towards that,
I
Mr.
did too.
Gordon.
That's why
I thought we was working
yeah.
towards,
Everybody having
one,
a-
this board approving a park commission, two, this board then selecting 5 commissioners to be responsible and be part of this entire process. I think Mr. Smith's point is well taken. We need to move forward towards trying to get this done, but
I'm
then-
just saying it would be more, I think it would be better served, the Washington
yes.
County and the Sportsplex, if we had the park commission started and you could deal with them and they could have some input of how this is gonna go. Because again, you wanna put people on there that's maybe have
Well-
children in there that has,
the
a little bit of
initial
interest
thing-
in this. I just think that we need to develop the park commission first and then go from there with the and let them be in on it, and every one of us have an appointee on that.
Yes.
And then they start meeting, and I think that's something that we could ready to move on next meeting. You could have someone in mind. That's what I would do,
Can I say this,
and then go from there.
Mr. President?
Please.
Absolutely.
It
Please.
would be
Please.
prudent for this board to move forward in selecting that park commission, bringing them in and giving them the expectations of the board in terms of initially they need to adopt some bylaws and goals and objectives on what direction they wish to go, and then get with university officials in hopes of developing the plans that Mr. Smith is talking about to ensure we have a very, very good park commission as well as a recreation department to ensure all our children and community as a whole. I mean, they got a very successful one right up there in Tunica County. As a whole, can benefit from this.
one of the
That-
reasons I.
Okay, wait, let me do this here. I'm gonna recognize you as you raise your hand instead of we just speaking out,
Thank you.
okay? I gotta get Ms. Smith first, I'm sorry.
One of the reasons that I've had discussions with persons about the Sportsplex issue is because they're really, I'm an advocate for methodical processes. And when you look at the current state of recreation in the county in which I live, which is Washington County, I think that when you allow professionals to come in and inventory and assess what you currently have, these are professionals, these are people who will be someone who's had a lengthy, long-term experience working in developing, whether it's a park commission or a recreation department. they will look at the county's current budget and see, you know, is it feasible for you to do a recreation commission, whether it's feasible for you to do a park and all of the, you know, just a regular recreation department. I think to put people in place prior to receiving such a comprehensive report is saying that you do want a recreation commission, as opposed to looking at the alternatives and weighing the pros and the cons of each one of them. So the reason that I presented this in the manner in which it has been presented was so that you all would actually receive information and that you would have something tangible upon which you could make your decision.
Okay, good.
Well,
I gotta go, no, I gotta go.
I don't think this is, both of these can take place at the same time. I think what you're talking about is needed, no doubt. But there's no reason for this, not the process of that start. And the time you get that information, we can have a board in place that can hear some of this information, because it's more, just as important for them to hear it as it is for us, if not more so. So I think moving forward on this at this time, it's not gonna slow down the process. We could go ahead and by next meeting, we could have some names to start the board, the Park Commission board.
And board members and Mr. Smith, there are only two processes of operation that can be utilized. One is a park commission statutorily. The other one is direct involvement from the board, okay? And the board serves as its own park commission and allocate funds and supervise the person or persons that they put in place to run the park. Now, and that can be time consuming and rather difficult for board members to do that, okay? Because board members would then be voting here to direct the park commission to do something, and if it fails, the board of directors will then either blame the park commission or blame themselves. So what I'm basically saying is, you need to move forward. If the board gonna do it, just say they gonna do it. If not, then they need to go ahead and proceed, because it's been dragging out for several years. The board needs to decide to just go forward with the park commission.
Well, go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
I was in Hancock County, that's on the Mississippi coast. They have a wonderful program. And my biggest concern is, but they have a department. At this point, I want to identify which works best for us. That's why I think where Mr. Smith is sending us is have someone to do an assessment of this community, of our parks, identify which way is best for us. Because we live here in Washington County, we see what happened in the city of Greenville with their park commission. The park commission made all those decisions, and so it was very unfortunate. So I'm not saying which way is the best way, but I just think at this point we need to do an assessment to identify what works for this area. Because you can see a park commission work very well, like he said, in Tunica, but I also saw a park department work exceptionally well in Hancock County, where they do so much there, from soccer to swimming. I mean, it's a lot of entities that we have. I just want to identify what is the best way for our county. And we can go and identify our friends to be on the park commission, but the truth of the matter, are we making the best decision? So I just want to identify what works best for our county. I think if we go in and we let Mr. Smith do the paperwork and we do advertisement assessment, see what works best, I think we should go that way. I'm not saying which way is the best way. I think I just need to know what the best way is. And if we advertise, we can find out and kind of start moving forward. Because right now, just saying appointing a park commission, and it may not be the best for us, or it may be the best for us. But I think we do need to move forward and start advertising on where we want to move forward in Washington County.
Okay.
Because I think each entity could be the best, but is it the best for Washington County? That is the concern right now.
Okay, good enough. You know, when we make comments or we share, you can be as precise as you can, as brief as you can, but please always get your point over. One thing that concerns me, I'm gonna share this with this board, when you get to talk about doing all these great things, I don't know how many people around the table remember the amount of money you put in the budget for next year. But I can assure you, we're gonna have to probably do a tax millage for what you're talking about and going forward. So, you know, I'm real,
I think we're all in I'm sorry. Raise my hand.
I just don't like the idea of having
Well-
that kind of discussion about raising taxes. Go
cool.
ahead, please.
I think we're all in agreement. Item 8 needs to be done regardless whether we set the board up or not. So moving forward, that's what we're talking about right now, just
Yeah,
approving
we'll do it.
item 8. So I make a motion that
I
we
would make
approve
the
item 8.
motion.
Second. I got a second, Supervisor Gordon.
But I
If there-
would say have somebody, as far as I think too, in the end result, it's gonna be a board, you know, have somebody in mind that has a little, like I said, maybe that's interested in there, and like I said, not just because we know them or somebody wants to be on the board, somebody that's got some involvement in there
Okay.
to sit on those boards, but yeah, so, second to.
I got a motion and a second. No other questions, all in favor, show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, that's unanimous, Ms. Hansel. Anything else,
Item
Mr.
number-
Smith?
Item number 9 and 10 deals with authorizing the creation of development of a countywide newsletter.
Mr.
where-
Smith, come on now.
Where
Ms. Smith, you've been real long, but go ahead.
I have had a lot of questions, sir.
Man, come
We
on
coulda-
now.
We could have done this as.
Yeah, that's, come on, well, go ahead,
Okay,
Mr. Smith.
item number 9 and 10, order approving the preparation of a quarterly county newsletter to serve as a tool for delivering external communications in Washington County regarding news, events, and special topics. It would be an opportunity for all county elected officials to submit something by a specific deadline, have that information put into a good format. There may be things relative to state changes that some citizens come to the courthouse and they aren't aware of. It's an opportunity. There may be special hours or special things that are happening in respective offices. So what this would do would help the county in delivering various messages on special events, topics, and things like that. And item number 9 and 10 would be, it would be appropriate for you all to advertise for statements of qualifications for that work and try to get a cost estimate for that before you actually begin it. But if you approved it, I would think that the first quarterly newsletter would go out for the last quarter of this year, which would be in October.
So moved.
What would be the cost on this?
It's gonna come in. That's item
You're
number
just,
10.
you're just requesting quotes on that?
Right, and after you all get your quotes and kind of the format, number of pages for each newsletter, whatever, then you will make a final decision on whether or not to move forward with it.
Mhm. So this is just requesting quotes, basically? Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 11, real quick, the Biden bipartisan infrastructure law, Investing in America, we need to advertise for qualifications for architectural, engineering, and administrative services. There will be a deadline in November, and we need to select an architecture firm, a engineering firm, and administrative team to do that.
I need a
So
motion.
moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That's unanimous, Ms. Hansel.
A few days ago, I attended.
Wait a
the-
minute, Ms. Smith, that was it, number 11.
No, home grant. Home grant is on there too.
The 2023 home grant application workshop was held in Jackson on August 10th, I believe it was, and there have been several changes this year. Of course, it's done in 2 phases. Homeowners are not selected right now. This is an application to determine whether or not Washington County scores high enough to be considered.
Help us understand that.
If you do not you have to self-score based upon the information that's specific to Washington County. And if you do not receive a rating of 175, you cannot submit an application.
Now, what is our rating, you think? And how do we find out, since you might not know?
You would need to look at the criteria in the program manual for this year, and
Do you-
based upon poverty level, your current population census data, and things of that nature. There are a lot of different things, but before an application can be submitted, you must self-rate yourself, and if that rating based upon the information that's included on the county does not exceed 175, you are not allowed to submit an application. That's one of the new and notables from the Home Corporation. They did a lot of new and notables, and some things are just it's what it is. Yes,
I
Mrs.
like
Smith.
for the county to, move forward with the separating to put us in position to apply for the 2023 home grant.
You need to do the resolution to apply for it.
What, I'm
Item
sorry,
number
let me
12.
phrase it, the resolution then.
Yeah.
That's my motion.
Yes.
Help us understand the resolution, what that means, Ms. Smith, just what you just,
As it is on the orders of, order approving the resolution to apply for the 2023 homeowner rehabilitation grant program. Advertising for application preparation services, advertising for program administrative services, and authorizing the clerk to publish the notice of a public hearing.
Let me phrase it, and
Alright.
let me change my motion to allow Mr. Andrew Smith to, do the application, do the,
That has to be
proposal.
decided.
I said Mr.
Come on,
Andrew
Ms. Smith.
Smith. That's my motion.
what do you?
You can't do that now.
Oh, well, who does I mean, we would do
Alright,
the resolution,
hold up.
but I have a question, I'm still talking, Mr.
Yeah, but
Griffin.
we gotta get, hold up, Ms. Smith, Ms. Smith, we
If you
gotta
look
get
at
a
item
order.
number 12,
Okay,
okay, you must advertise for professional services related to the home grant program.
so what grant do we need to, what motion needs to be passed at this point?
The one.
Is that a resolution?
So you did just need to approve the resolution,
You need to approve everything that's in item 12.
so moved.
I need a second. Uh-oh,
You
no, we need to do that. I
No,
need-
no, I just looked for item 12, you're talking about item,
Oh.
I didn't have that.
Yeah, we got to do that, that's, help us move forward.
Okay.
I got a second, Supervisor Redmond, go ahead, Supervisor Gordon.
No, I was just looking for the item, I didn't have it on my copy.
All right, everybody understand? Any questions? I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Smith?
You got the bid?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
ready
good
for
deal.
the bid opening.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm sorry, it was placed here in front of me, and I was looking for an envelope to open.
All right, where did we go back to that one then? Ms. Smith, let's talk about the qualifications of Washington County and our score, and trying to put something together outside of the meeting.
Sure.
Okay, this is for the kitchen improvements, for the South Washington County multiplex building. This was, a bid that was done, and it was, we received this up until 9 a.m. this morning. And what I have here is a bid from, Timbo Construction Company. And their bid is $190,000.
Wow.
That's good with you?
That's the bid for
This your
Timbo
district?
Construction
Is that
Company.
good with you?
For the upgrade in the kitchen?
Upgrading the kitchen.
Do we have the specs or the designs or anything? Have we seen anything? I haven't. Come on.
We'll set aside $75,000. My recommendation would be that you all reject that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. And
But we don't have
because of
specs.
the amount of the estimate, I would recommend that we retain an architect to design what you need, because the law says that before you can accept a bid in excess of $150,000, there has to be an architect or engineer in place, okay? So,
Yeah, we
On
got,
this?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they did a design, and it went out
Oh,
with
yeah.
the,
$2. Where you been, Mr. Griffin? We been doing this every board meeting.
when we had,
But
when
we
the
don't have
board
specs,
approved
Mr.
to
Griffin.
advertise, Mr. Mills
mhm.
said that the plans and specs for that project had been done, and they were emailed to the clerk.
Yeah.
And I
And-
think,
and-
and I know I received a hard copy in the mail.
Did
Did
he
you get a
do-
hard copy?
Did he do a cost estimate? If
He
you know?
did, I think that's why we set aside that money,
Right.
so make a
He did the
motion, we,
cost estimate, that was back in May, I believe.
yeah.
And they did that was why we set aside $75,000 based on his cost estimate.
That's right.
And the bid has come in at $194,000. So my recommendation is that you would reject that bid and re-advertise.
Can I get a motion?
That motion.
Thank you.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Smith, next step. No.
I don't
We
have
got,
anything else. sir.
we still need to get this kitchen in.
He said re-advertise. The motion was to reject the bids and re-advertise.
You got a copy of the specs, Jerry? You got a copy of the specs? The pictures? All right, we need to get him a copy so he can kind of look at that and get the other board members a copy as well.
The, which one?
The design, the specs, yes, want to see what it is. And we'll have a conversation about re-advertising.
Okay,
Now,
second that motion.
I did.
Okay.
all right, so your request today is to re-advertise?
Yes, sir.
Reject.
I got it, and Jerry, you gave a motion for that, right?
Second.
All right, I got it, to
Gordon,
re-advertise.
yeah, Gordon, second.
Everybody understand about the re-advertise of this again? All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are we missing anything, Ms. Smith?
No, sir, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Marilyn, you're gonna have to help me. I'm down here. What additions do we have?
Oh, we've already discussed the home grant.
We
That
have.
was the issue we had.
Who am I missing?
Let's see, we're missing, okay, Mark Sear just came in here.
Mark?
Y'all have a good day. Any,
Good morning to the board.
good morning.
I have a couple of requests this morning. First one is for a void of tax sale. This letter comes to request the tax sale for 2022 on parcel 122000 be voided and a refund be issued to Anthony Properties of Mississippi in the amount of $773.02, which was the amount paid. This request comes because this parcel was erroneously assessed to Advantage Capital, REO LLC, which is a parcel assessed to Evergreen Baptist Church. So this is one of the properties that is now owned by Evergreen Baptist Church on the corner of Broadway and, what is it, Airedale?
Nope.
Bel Air.
Bel Air.
When that deed came across from Evergreen, we placed that property into Evergreen's name, but there was an exempt parcel already in place by the previous owner, which they no longer own it. But we failed to see the exempt parcel in place.
Okay.
But we do currently have it in Evergreen Baptist Church's name. So this parcel was missed. We need to we need to void this parcel,
Void the exemption on it, or void?
void the tax sale
Sale.
for 2022.
And now what happens? Does it go under will it be taxed as part of the?
It's already under Evergreen Baptist Church's
And so it
name.
will be taxed?
Yes, sir.
It's not in having an exemption? I got a
Second.
motion, I got a second. Any other questions? All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? A motion carries. So Supervisor Brooks, away from her seat. Anything unnecessary?
The second request is for the property located at Union Street and Highway 1 South. This is the Exxon, well, what used to be the Exxon gas station there. The property used to be owned by Salvador Cerullo, and it was a leasehold property where Salvador Cerullo owned the land and not the buildings. So the new owners, after coming back and forth and currently paying all the taxes owed on the leasehold and the land, they now own the land and the buildings. So, and there was also a parcel of land adjacent to it that they own also. So we're asking that these two parcels be deleted and added to the main parcel, which is parcel 164-272-00000.
So it'll actually be just one
Yeah,
parcel
we're-
now?
Yes, sir.
And one
Okay,
address?
are there taxes still out there that need to
The
be
taxes
paid?
have been paid already.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, are those one lot or two lots?
Okay, come back,
It's
it'll be
two
one lot.
lots.
Yep.
It's two lots, but we're making three different transactions because there was a leasehold parcel, there was a building, and there was a lot. So we're asking that they all three be combined. into
Now
this
they're
one
owned by
parcel.
one person instead of
So-
two separate?
Well,
Yes, sir.
Is it one parcel number now?
Yes, ma'am.
I got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any other questions? All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
That's all I have.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you,
sir. That was it for the additions, Ms.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Wow.
also, I'd like to make a motion to add, Bree Street, to the, agenda to, Bree Street.
Yeah.
Bree Street
Bree Street.
Bridge.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Pass this out to everybody so they can get a copy. Now, I'm just sharing with the board, the bridge has been approved to be open with no add-ons. The state found nothing. This is additional. When the engineering firm came in and said there was something wrong with the bridge, some more the sidewalk, the state came in for the second time and did an assessment, and I just want to get this spread across the minutes that the bridge can be open. The city of Leland will be meeting on Tuesday to change the name of the bridge, and we will have a ribbon cutting on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, and I hope the DDT can be there as well.
Will
All
it be
right, let
open,
me-
will it be
let-
open on
let-
that day?
let me do
Sir?
this. Bree Street Bridge.
No, it's not. But actually, the bridge is in the middle of two streets. One is Bree Street, and if you're driving north, it's Robb Street. So the bridge never really had a name, and they're looking to name it after some notable people in Leland, Mississippi.
Let me
But
say
anyway,
this.
you're very much invited to come at 10 o'clock a.m.
Let me say this to you all. Ms. Brooks,
And that came from the state of Mississippi.
yeah, there was a phone call made to
Okay.
the state, and they actually went on and put Bree Street to the front of the list to come in and do the re-inspection.
Well, it's quite a few.
So,
Commissioner Simmons was one of the main persons that
would
made
you-
the call.
No.
Commissioner Willie Simmons made the call.
Well, let me help you out.
You may have called as well, but Commissioner Willie Simmons got some
Ms.
heavyweight
Bickle,
round
I thought we agreed not to speak out of turn.
Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Let me let you know.
Okay.
It did not, but we got the bridge inspected, and it did pass. The only issues we have is,
You have.
the only
State don't have-
issues we
the
have
state showed no
is,
issues.
it's not with the structure. They approved the caps. That was the issue. The caps were approved for the load rating. They were,
They didn't low grade it.
They did not
No,
low
they
grade it.
did not. No low grading at all.
Oh,
Maximum. Thank you. So
y'all
if you're
have-
gonna
They
say it, say
did.
it correctly now.
Ms. Brooks, would you please allow me to
But
speak? I
if you
won't
go,
disturb you.
you don't have to, but if you're gonna use terminology,
You're
use the
not.
correct terminology.
But I just want the community to be misled.
No, I don't want you're misleading
But-
because I got the paper, and you can share this to the newspaper man as well.
But, the bridge, we thought we have, the papers late Thursday, early Friday, we had that conversation. But the bridge it has some minor things, just basic concerns. There's no striping or safety features, reflective materials approaching the bridge from either end. And it was not in the design, according to the engineer. The road department will have to go out and do the final touches, and we've talked to them about it. And we're getting the equipment we need to actually finish what we need to finish to make sure the bridge is safe. Now, it doesn't have lighting, and no other bridge with that crosswalk does, but it would be a good thing to have the city of Leland put lighting on
Well,
it.
actually, the city of Leland is looking at that. That was a conversation piece, so you'll understand.
You
They're
gonna let me
looking at
finish?
well, since you
Ms. Smith,
since
please
you
let me
brought
finish.
Leland up, I just want to educate you.
I didn't bring Ms. Brooks up, though.
But I'm Leland.
Thank you,
I'm
Ms.
so
Brooks.
Leland. If you're gonna be
Now,
clear
if
about it.
you're gonna let me speak, I'd appreciate
Yeah,
you.
go ahead and speak, but
All
I
right.
will correct you when you say some
I
information
don't
that you
need
may
correcting,
an
Ms. Brooks.
assessment, additional amendment to.
But the bridge will be open, and I hope they do have a party on it, that kind of thing, but it didn't make sense to spend $1 million taxpayer money and have it closed as long as it was. They should have had access to it way before now.
Well,
But now it will, now
actually,
it will be,
the $1 million.
now it will be open.
Oh, great.
And
But-
people, Ms. Brooke, can I?
Go ahead on.
All right. Now, people will have access to it, which is the outstanding thing. But we will do the final touches, and it doesn't matter about, what it'll cost. We have the money in the road department funds.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. It doesn't make a difference.
But what we have to do when we put these projects in, we've got to start looking closer at the specs to make sure we don't have sidewalks running out into Never Land, and to make sure that the railing contours meets the curvature of the road. But we'll fix all that, not a big
Well,
deal.
I do want to make a
Could I see
correction
one of
on
your
that.
copies?
Can I make a correction?
Give him that.
You said the sidewalks in Never Land. Actually,
him that.
this is a small community, and the railing went long enough because actually we're getting ready to put a park out there, and the city's gonna extend the sidewalk even farther because they want the kids to be able to walk into the park. Still, you have a railing that can be safe. So let's say if there's an accident, the railing is there really to protect the kids in the park. So this is something that the city wanted only for the safety of our children, because Leland is a walking city, okay? People walk around Leland all the time. So that's what we wanted to see
Oh,
in Leland. I know he's
I
not a
was passing
Leelander,
that.
but I am,
I'm passing this
everybody's
on.
happy with it.
Give them all that, you know.
Thank you.
All right,
Pass it to Mr. Mr. DDT, you can get that.
where are we now? Ms. Carter? Ms. Carter? You ready? That's fine. Got what now? Yeah.
10 o'clock Thursday, yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have expended 101.3% of our budget through August 21st compared to plan of 91.66.
Everybody understand that number?
I understand it fully.
Everybody understand the number?
Yeah,
Yep.
we've never done that.
It's
So
the
have
first
we looked
Sunday
at
in every
these
month.
different areas to see where we can do some modifications to make it 100%?
Any more cuts, you did all that for budget.
No cuts you can make, we just have to go through the amendment process.
Right.
Yeah, and get everything aligned.
Yeah.
And the problem is, once you, because really, if you look at that cash balance, the problem is, that's what you've got to make it to January. That was actually what was in reserve at one point, and that's gonna take a hard hit. So every month, you're gonna see that dwindle down tremendously. And like I said, we're not gonna be, what is it, as a whole, and you may not have this number right off, our monthly, what does it cost to run the city monthly?
County.
Jeez,
County, I'm
count.
sorry, county.
4?
What
You
does
can give
it
to me. You
cost?
can give it to me. No.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
If you,
You have payroll.
Yeah, that's your biggest thing, your payroll.
Well, that's a good question. What does it take to run the county monthly?
It's in the building, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
it averages 2 probably. If you look at each one of the claims paid
It-
plus
it'd be
payroll.
more than that, way
yeah,
more than that.
That's just claims paid. We're not
I can tell you real
speaking as
quick.
far as payroll.
That's right.
That's another 400,000.
Factor that in as well.
It's expensive.
About 3.5 million.
Okay.
3.5 million. So you can take a big hit. So if you take the next, basically September, October, November, December, 4
Wow.
months times $3.5 million. That's where you. Now you'll have some money come in. I mean, it's not your big money come in. So
What are the steps you recommend we take, Ms.
so
Carter?
that's $14 million. So that'll leave you about what I predict. It'll leave you about $4 million in surplus. And the problem is that's smoke and mirrors itself, because if you take the money that we've already allocated for like bridge, when you done your bridge, we allocated $5 million to that, $1 million in each, really, basically. So if you took that right now, and if we could do that right now, every bit of that would be wiped out, every bit of it. So you'll be back borrowing money next year.
My suggestion, we're gonna have to cut back on the spending. I understand y'all want roads, bridges, this, that, and the other, but the funds are still the funds. The reality of it, we still have to cut back on spending. So I'm also gonna send a letter to department heads.
No overtime.
Especially for this new budget coming in. No major approvals, no big expenses.
Overtime.
I have a question. I guess concerning, what are other ways that counties can pick up additional revenue?
Well, of course, and it's not major, what we do on some of these, the rental property we have and things like that, but it's nothing real major, when we do that over the
So what
years.
do
But
we
we'll
want-
get some, like I say, it'll be some money comes in, and tags come in at different times, that type of stuff. But for the most part, our big money
That's where we get the bulk of our.
is starting in January. And it'll start a little bit late December, but mostly starts in January.
Okay, I got a question. So like every year, we have different companies that's been here like forever, and we always waiving taxes for them.
Some portion of it, if
We
they do
waive-
it, if they do additions.
And we waiving
yeah.
quite a bit. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna look at like Madison County and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
How they're dealing with, because they got a lot of industry there as well. And I wanna see how they waiving all these taxes for all
Yeah.
the industry that's in Madison
Yeah.
County and in DeSoto County. I'm gonna meet with them because I
Yeah.
wanna know,
Yeah.
are we waiving too much? But I just wanna see what's going on. So I'm gonna
Oh, no,
identify that,
actually,
because
they're
we
doing
do a
it. They're
lot of
doing it.
waving
Yes,
for these.
They're doing it very heavily.
Yeah.
Well,
The-
I'm gonna find out, I'm gonna hear
Yeah.
from them, not from you.
And then when you hear the numbers.
Oh, Lord. Go ahead, Lee, I'm sorry.
And then when you hear the numbers sometimes, that's when sometimes when Mark's giving some numbers, that's when he throws those big numbers out there, I say, what's the real number to that?
Right.
Because when you hear that number, that's not the real dollar figure on that, so it's not that big. And two, and to be honest with you, when I first took office, I was questioning that also. But again, you start, and I'm like Carl, from my understanding, other counties do it, but you got to see the people they employ, the things they do, and the taxes come from that. But I understand what you're saying, but it's worth, like I said, to satisfy your own thoughts on it.
I
But,
got
but
another
I'm
question.
satisfied that
So I know in the municipality, but in the county area where we have taxes, where
Right.
people live, do we get taxes off their houses?
yes.
Yeah.
So why don't we start marketing, moving into the rural area of the county? Because and the reason why I asked, the gentleman about what's going on with the bypass, that's all rural. And I think we really need to start identifying how are we gonna market that area, and I talked about TIF districts, because that's how you start bringing, different businesses and retail into your area. A lot of counties and cities do TIF districts, and I asked that question to them, because we really got to think about the future of that big wide area. There's nothing there where we can bring something there, we can bring additional revenue into this county. And that's gonna be real important that we start targeting and marketing that area.
Now, you talking about people from out of the county coming in, or people from in the city going out?
Well, more so, I'm saying that area, bringing a TIF district to bring businesses in that area, create subdivisions out in that area, because that's all county. And that's a way of bringing additional revenue in. Right now, we're not even having that conversation, and that's why I posed it to the gentleman with the economic development. Yes, clearly, I want you to take care of
my
Leland, but at the same token,
Okay.
we really gonna have to put some emphasis on that bypass area, because we're talking about almost 20 miles of just nothing there, and we got to put something in that brings revenue to the county. I think that should be a main concern for the county for the next 4 years.
Okay, we gotta kind of step it up a little bit. You good? Everybody good? It's on you.
Requesting board approval of our claims docket totaling $789,505.49.
So moved.
Got a motion? I need a second. I got a second, Supervisor Rittman. Thank you, sir. All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And the Fourth Circuit Intervention Court is requesting travel for Tamala Hardy, Tanisha Lewis, and Sonia Washington to attend the level of service case management inventory training on August 29th through 31st in Jackson, Mississippi, with estimated cost of $2,500 and for funds to come from their mental health treatment grant.
So moved.
I got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Requesting payment in the amount of $20,000 to Lowe's Public Affairs Group for professional services rendered for the month of July 2023 for Delta Health System.
So moved.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
I got a question though. That may
Motion
be something, I
carries.
think we approved that up to October, so we're getting to the end of that, I think.
But we're at the end of
This, that
September.
20,000.
We got one more
Oh,
month
yeah,
left.
yeah,
That's it.
I think so.
August and September.
Yeah.
This is July.
Okay.
The Washington County Fourth Circuit Intervention Court is requesting to enter into a new lease with Emory Specialist for a copier for a period of 48 months at a price of $153 per month, and also to include the board president's signatures, and this also comes from their grant fund.
So moved.
Need a second. I need a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So Supervisor Rittman, waiting to see. No, you good. I counted you on that one.
Requesting permission to host the annual Washington County Insurance Fair on September 13th through the 14th at the Washington County Extension Service.
The insurance fair, who does this? I mean, what are we talking about?
No, it's if you want to make any
Oh, for the
changes to that.
employees. Okay, second.
I got a motion and a second. If there are no other questions, all in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So Supervisor Gordon and Rittman away from their seats.
Okay, I also have a request from Maurice, and it's to request approval of a public hearing scheduled for September 18th, 2023 at 10:00 a.m. for William H. Hughes, the Third Estate, 793 Lake Jackson Road in Glen Allen,
So moved.
Got a motion? And I need a second, and a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I also have
Supervisor Gordon waiting to see, Supervisor Redmond waiting to see as well.
an invoice from Burley Engineers for
Survey.
drainage project, Forest Acres, $9,526.03.
Ms. Brooks,
That amount again.
$9,526.03.
listening to
How
that.
much?
$9,526.
For what? For the, so moved.
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
All right. Ms. Ansel.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, board.
Morning.
Okay, this morning you have a letter from Alan Woodard, who's the attorney for,
Shockey or Issaquena?
ma'am,
Shockey or Issaquena?
he's in Sharkey County.
Right.
He is the attorney for Otter Bayou Drainage District. This is an order from them fixing their tax levy, for betterments in Otter Bayou Drainage District of Sharkey, Issaquena, and Washington County, Mississippi, for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024. And their levy is 12% of the betterments assessed against the lands of the district at Issaquena, Sharkey, and Washington County. So this is their tax levy. They need the approval from the board.
Is it changing? Did it change?
Second.
They got a motion and a second. Did it change? Or was it the same?
That's it.
It's the same. Did it
Oh, is
change?
it the same?
Was it an increase?
It is the same from last year.
I got a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I'd like to also report this morning that Ms. Lee, the tax collector, has also submitted a settlement check to the board in the amount of $364,068.86. And this is for her total collections of ad valorem taxes during the month of July.
So moved to accept.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And I also would like to acknowledge that we did receive a letter from Horn LLP. This is the auditing, this is the firm that audits the Delta Health Systems audit report. And this was for fiscal year 2022. They have provided a letter to the county indicating that they estimate the timeline that they expect to issue an audit report as of September 30th. So we had that discussion this morning, but I want to make sure that you're aware that we did receive a letter from them.
Yeah, Lee.
I got a question.
Come on.
Did they give a reason why the delay?
No.
No, sir, there's no reason why.
Well, I'm just curious if it was
Oh,
something on their end or the hospital's end, or, where the delay was.
Well, let me tell you what they said. The expectation is under the assumption that we will receive the Gatsby 87 leases, adoption, work papers, and journal entries before August 31st, 2023.
And they get those from?
Yeah.
The hospital.
From?
Okay.
Yeah, what? The hospital? Okay.
But I do think that the board needs to also, I think Ms. Brooks was right in suggesting that you look at, not at September 30th, but a date prior to that. Because they may not be completed.
Well,
either
I
by
think,
Well,
I
see,
think
if they
what the
don't-
ends on it, I
that
think
is-
that, what I think needs to happen to make sure that maybe the board president, you make contact with, Ms. Iris Stacker and make sure that they have all that information to the firm, because it sounds like it's something they're waiting on from the hospital.
I
That's what
plan
it
to do
sounds
it
like to me.
with Ms. Stacker and Ms. Fulton.
You have talked to them?
I plan to.
Okay, all right.
And, just follow up,
Yeah,
cause we
yeah.
wanna be in compliance
yeah.
with, or with the,
Yeah.
what's the
Because
other
I
people?
think,
The audit.
and the other part is, you know, I think that, you know, we wanna make sure that we're not adversely impacted by this.
And then I
No
just,
issue with the federal
right,
funds.
you don't
I
want
mean,
your name
that's-
on a list, like, oh, Washington County is delinquent, you know?
Well, here's the thing.
Cause if you submit it on the 30th, then he has to get time and put it in his report. So we looking at October 1, October 2, 3, 4, whatever, but we're not delinquent people. We believe being in compliance in Washington County, we're not like the others.
Oh,
No, we're not.
Lee, please.
What date did they give us that have it in by?
They said September 30th.
They expect it.
September 30th, okay. So
I said
I would
25th.
suggest, and from my understanding from the auditor Carl that was here, it's just a matter of inputting some numbers in. What I would suggest, if we don't have an update our last meeting in September, that we move on without
last
them.
meeting?
I'm sorry, in September, no.
In September, okay.
Yeah, in September,
I got you.
because he can move quickly on that. We go ahead and move without them. You know, we do stand a chance of having, you know, some issues with that.
We're not gonna do that.
Well, if they don't have it, you have to.
No, they got to do it.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
but
we
what
don't
he
give
was saying,
options.
but what he was saying,
Yeah, I said the
that
same
they
thing.
they've had to do that in some counties, and there has not been
Some counties.
adverse. But we may come to that point. I'm just saying, if we come to that point, we may have to. We cannot be delinquent on getting it in just because they're not getting all the information. So the last meeting in September, if they don't have an update, say, hey, we're fixing to have this ready for you, then we move forward because we have no choice at that point.
Okay.
Well, I would recommend
gonna-
to Bishop
Yes.
Benson, I recommend to
You
Bishop
gotta,
Benson and
you
Mr.
gotta let me keep
Redmond.
it in order, Ms. Brooks.
Okay,
Please do.
normally you recognize that supervisor's over the attorney, said something changed today?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Attorney.
Apparently, there's someone don't want to hear the attorney speak, but nevertheless,
That's not the case, I'm
yeah.
just going by protocol, how the
Now,
board
she's
meeting been
right,
running.
she's right, but come
I
on,
know
Ms.
it's
Attorney.
because, I think because of who I am,
Okay,
go ahead
as
on,
long as you know.
period.
Mr. President, I
Hey.
would yield to Ms. Brooks to adhere to protocol,
All right.
and then the
Thank you.
lawyer have
All right.
to speak after that.
Thank you, Attorney
All right.
Griffin, I really appreciate that. What I was just gonna make a recommendation to the hospital committee. If you guys reach out, you know, to them and let them know how important this audit is, this gonna go a long way. And also the ones that's on the committee with the, what's the other group? The other people hadn't got the audit, we ain't got the audit
Oh,
from.
you're talking about the port agreement.
So whoever's on the port
Commission.
commission, whoever's on that committee, that we need to reach out to them so they understand. That's why we're on these committees, so they'll know how important this is for our county. So I was just making the recommendations to the supervisors that are on those committees to reach out to those different entities and really target the 25th,
Well-
because the 25th falls on what?
You're
Yes.
on that port committee.
And I'm gonna reach out to them.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if you
No,
are not. I'm
no,
just saying.
no, don't do that.
What I'm just saying,
All right, we've got to.
Also know that we've also contacted them.
yes, ma'am.
And it's contacted them several times.
Sometimes
so-
you have to get in their face.
Oh,
All right,
absolutely.
now, all right, we're gonna settle it down. I gotta come to Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, may I offer this? I would recommend to this board that the board make a finding in its minutes that it's in the best interest of the county to order the Port Commission and the hospital to submit audit reports directly to the state auditor. And that, so that you won't have to depend on them as part of your process. And that's what Mr. Goodman was talking about. You know, you not include them, and there may not be, there won't be an adverse impact but if you make a finding in your minutes that they are not gonna be included, even though they are a county organization, they're not gonna be included as part of your audit process, then and direct them to submit it directly to them going forward, I think that will cover you.
The state auditor's office.
Yes, sir. They're supposed to submit it anyway.
Right.
But I would, and you give Mr. Goodman a copy of your order showing that they're gonna submit theirs directly, as well as a copy to this board when they submit it. So
Okay.
that will cover you.
state auditors as well.
Yes.
All right, anyone else?
And also, Mr. President,
Yes,
if I
ma'am.
can,
Yes, ma'am.
when Mr. Bridges called me, he said that this happened in Sunflower County had not gotten its hospitals, audit, and that they talked to the board, and the board made a decision to go ahead and submit their audit
Without.
them.
Okay, and this board is positioned.
And we may have to do that if things don't happen quickly.
Let me say
if the
this
board
real
like,
quick.
I can just draft an order to that effect.
No,
Going forward.
no.
I'm talking about going forward.
No, don't draft anything just yet. Now, let me say this, we agreed that I would be making these phone calls. But if there are going to be multiple calls from this board, let me know. I think I can, handle these calls. I don't need additional conversation and confusion.
When are you expecting to talk to them?
Today?
Okay. Then we'll give you time.
Wait, let me be clear. Y'all more than welcome to do it if that's what you want to do.
No.
And I will stand back.
You as the board president should go ahead.
All right,
But
and I'll
if
do
you're
that.
going to call them, make sure you call them.
I always do, but I will. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
you better keep your cash flow up, because the way our cash, we'll be borrowing money. You won't have, you
All right.
won't have the standing to do that.
Ms. Hansel, what else you got for us?
Okay, I also have today some bonds for approval. I have the bond of Shirley J. Williams. She is a trustee on the Hollandale School District Board.
Okay.
If you don't mind, bear with me, please.
That was Shirley.
Shirley Williams, okay, this is for
appreciate that.
Stacy
How you wrap work
Wilson
on it.
Wells, also on the Board of Trustees for the Hollandale School District. For Chantel Johnson Bridges, she is a principal, for the Hollandale School District. For Mario Willis, the superintendent of, and this is for Mr. Willis serving as purchasing agent for the Hollandale School District. Also, for Mario Willis as superintendent of the Hollandale School District. For Timothy Ford, who is the business manager for the Hollandale School District.
So there's two. You call two names.
For Frankie C. Hester, also school board trustee for the Hollandale School District. For Mary Catherine Wise, who's also on the Hollandale School
Excuse me.
District. She's a trustee. For Dorothy Jernigan, who's also a board member, school board trustee for the Hollandale School District. And that's it. Those are the bonds I need you to approve.
Everybody understand?
Second.
I got a motion Supervisor Redmond, second Supervisor Brooks. No other questions? All in favor, show by a sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Ms. Hansel, that's unanimous.
Thank you. I also have, items to copy into, the minutes. I need the board's
So
approval to
moved.
copy these items to the
Second.
minutes.
Want to copy those items to the minute? Got a motion and a second, plus all reports that we've got to this point. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, there's also one, where the Office of State Aid Roads has confirmed the advertisement of receipt of a bid. The new date for receiving the bids is gonna be September 12th.
Which bids?
This is the bid that, they advised us that had to be re-advertised.
That's which project now? That's for, go ahead.
Sir?
Which project is that? be clear.
It was it was actually some bridge work,
Right.
road work, and the roads were not identified.
But I need the board to understand where that is and the public to understand where that is. We need to make sure they're clear on that, because I hate to call the name of a road.
Okay.
And
Do
I-
we need to say, Ms. Hansel, do we need to accept the report?
Yes, ma'am.
I like to move that we accept the report for MDOT state aid.
State aid.
Second.
You want to accept the report that's income, and you know what, as long as you know where the properties are.
Well, it's a state, so long as the state send it to us, I think
Okay,
they're not gonna send us
I
nothing.
don't have.
Yeah, I think we all remember.
SAP 7670, I don't know where that is.
Ma'am, yeah, it says A and B, something like
SAP 7670,
Yeah, they didn't include,
76, okay, let's see here. Okay, 767M
Yeah.
is what it's called.
Yeah.
That's the project number.
yeah, I think everybody remember where that is. If there are no more questions, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes my report.
All right,
I just want to make a statement.
come on.
I think in Hollandale School District, I think they had some problem, but when they got the business managers that's in there, I think that's the way they corrected it, and I think we're on a smooth road. I got my educate my kids down there now, and I don't have no problem.
Thank you, Ms. Rib. Doc, let that
You
go.
educate your
Please let that
kids.
go. All right. Now, any additions that we may have missed? Mr. Jazz, you good? Patrick? Mr.
You
Hooker?
got the sheriff in here.
Hey, Mr. Sheriff, come on.
Chief. Good morning.
Morning.
Washington County Regional Correctional Facility meal log from August 18th, 2023. Reflects the weeks of July 29th, 2023 to August 11th, 2023. Presented at this board meeting on the day August 2023.
Move to accept. I need a motion.
So moved.
Committee, I got one. I need a second.
Second.
And a second. Appreciate you, Supervisor Spencer. There are no questions. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That's unanimous, Ms. Hansel.
There's a child abuse investigation class going on in Hattiesburg, August the 30th, September the 1st, 2023. An amount of $300. The sheriff requests to send two of his sergeant investigators to that training.
So move.
Got a motion? And a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Chief, an idea how much that gonna be? 300, I'm sorry, missed it.
$300.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And also, I just want to say to the board, respect to all of you. I've sat around and I've listened to quite a few things this year. I remember when the conversation come up about that money. What's the money called? Aqua Fund. I remember the sheriff telling you all that most of these agencies around the county gave $1 million of it to law enforcement. And I don't know if y'all know the strain that law enforcement is in right now, but law enforcement in Washington County is in a strain. Not because the money's not there, it's because the money's not there to pay the people. The money's not there in cities. And when the cities don't have the people, then all the burden falls on the sheriff department. We got deputies who run from here and run from there over and over again, but then when somebody comes from the outside to ask about money can come up. That's not fair. It's not fair at all. And I think that we all need to reevaluate some things sometime and know that who needs the money. Because most of you all call the sheriff,
All the time.
We all call a sheriff, and he's doing a wonderful job.
call the sheriff, and I get phone calls. But let's be clear, let's be fair. That's your words, brother. Let's be clear, let's be fair.
Thank you, sir.
Think about it sometime. Think about it sometime. Think about it sometime. You know, we were told that all of the money had been accounted for, had been spent. And here we are, giving out this and that some more. And I'm not knocking them folk blessings. Y'all gave it to them. But what about us? Chief Redmond, you was the chief deputy sheriff department.
I'm
Right,
in.
and I left it in good shape. I expect to find it.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Well,
sorry, Ms. Brooke, I'm gonna come right there.
Chief, you been there. We don't have officers in this county because people are leaving for salaries. People are leaving because they said that Washington County can't provide. Wasn't you out there the other day at the training? We're lacking, aren't we? Aren't we lacking? And this board can help us
No, we can't.
and won't provide the fund. I think that's a sad day, and I'm sorry if y'all get offended, but I think it's a sad day, and it's a shame on our board for not looking at the sheriff to give us the necessary means that's there to run this department efficiently.
Ms. Brooke,
Thank you all for listening.
Ms. Brooke.
Chief
Oh,
Bob,
ho, ho, ho,
Chief
ho.
Bob,
I
I'd
got
like
it.
to respond to your comment. May I please respond to your comment?
Come on.
Okay, so at MAS, that was one of the questions that was asked, can we use opera dollars for salaries? They said no. So it's not that, yes, and this come from MAS, okay, and you can do your own work. We were told that we cannot, not only just for your department, I was concerned about getting additional people to help with cutting the grass, but we were told that we cannot use opera dollars for salaries. So we did not make this up. This is state MAS reiterated to us, and also the opera group. So if you know of another county that was able to use opera dollars for salaries, bring it to my attention, and I'll bring it back up, because that was explained to us in the large meeting with MAS.
No, that kinda answered my question.
Sheriff, come on, Sheriff.
I've been voted on several times and asked about ARPA money. ARPA money, I think it is, if I'm correct, that you can use towards salaries, raises. You can use towards for law
They told us they
enforcement.
couldn't.
Yes, you can use for law enforcement benefits. There's other things that could have been used for Washington County Sheriff Department. Several things that could have been, but at not one time that I come in here and this board say, hey, what you gonna do with it? What can we help you with? Never did. I made it 4 or 5 times. I say, well, Hines County gave their sheriff department $1 million. When I asked for it before this board here, they said, well, it's already been accounted for. We're gonna spend it here, we're gonna spend it there. But I found out today we didn't spend it all the places that we say we had spent it in here, so shame on you when you said that. But at the end of the day, all these municipalities that don't have police like they should, including Greenville, that we cover them all the time. Sometimes they don't even have police officers that we do. We work with it the best way we can. We work with it some type of ways in here that I'd rather not say, because of the funds, the reason why we work it that way. But still, we worked it. And every time a board member calls the sheriff and say anything they need to do, he goes and do it. He sends guys out to do it and everything. Just for the respect of this board, they should have said, Sheriff, let's see what we can help you with. Let's see what we can help you with. Not to just straight out just deny it. And what Chief Bob said earlier, he explained it good. And so I'm still saying this here, and I hope all the citizens of Washington County hear this here, that we got a board of supervisors that are stand up stronger when it comes down to any type of funds or anything that the sheriff requests. Because when he come in and requests something, he's not requesting for him. And we try to make sure that our citizens are safe here in Washington County. We try to make sure that they're property. We do all types of work here to do. And I have been here to try to come to all board meetings. I see all types of people comes in and get funds, and when we're trying to get them in here, it's in a crisis here now. That it ain't that board gonna get a sheriff a raise here, but the deputies need it. The custodians here need it. Everybody need it in here. But we have to think about it here as a board members here. Who do we look out first? Do we look out at home first, or we take it outside? I like to help people too in here, but I need to pay my margin before I try to help somebody else. So I'll leave you with that, and I hope that you think about what you have done.
Okay. Since I see no hands up, Sheriff, let me say something to you.
Okay, one more thing I'll say.
Come on.
If you want to approve it, if you don't, define to it here. I have requested, convention center for August the 30th for my birthday, August the 30th at the convention center. So I'm asking
All right,
for
we'll-
approval.
all right, we'll talk.
And each one of you are.
Let me say something to you, Sheriff.
6:30 till 11.
Let me say something to you, Sheriff. You know,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Brooke, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I need to add something to the agenda.
Okay, let me get through with this.
Okay,
We
okay,
can.
I just thought about it.
Sheriff, you take a look at, I understand what you're saying about opera funds, and that's a one-time payment. You know, you come up with $1 million, once it's gone, it's gone. It's not a steady stream of income. If you take a look at the county's budget and look at the portion of the budget that's for the sheriff department, the regional jail, how much we actually spend. Take a look at the portion of that budget that goes to your department. When you come and you speak, Chief, when you speak, don't think we don't listen. Don't think we don't listen. And if there's an opportunity to do something, you kind of need to hold up a minute. You know, all the money probably not gone, because we've got monies that I had set aside for a particular group that got fully funded, but that money is still over there. So we're working down to the wire. We hear what you're saying, but you know, I don't want you to tell the community we completely ignore the sheriff department. We understand the value of law enforcement and having a safe community. We understand it, and we appreciate what you do. But when you come and you stand before that mic, it's very, very seldom that you get a no. Very seldom that you get a no. So let's all kind of continue to work together and make sure we're on the same page, you know, and I'm not gonna get offended. Now, you all not gonna get offended. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna go to a birthday party.
I thank you,
All right.
Mr. President, and I'll try again at the next board meeting here.
Okay.
Are we?
I will bring in,
No, we don't talk voting outside the board
okay,
meeting.
we can too, but I will bring in until this here a request on what the sheriff department will ask them for.
All right.
I will bring
But
it.
I want you to check the portion of, pull that together for me, Carter. And see how much of the budget goes to law enforcement, regional jail.
Well,
Okay.
I agree on that. Let me answer that there, because
County
basically,
administrator. for
basically
Jones
all
County.
counties in
He
here,
just said
law
he was
enforcement
for
probably
salary.
don't have
They
a big
give
budget.
them salary.
Most
Oh, I
counties
doubt
are.
that, but
But you have to understand here, the
I-
sheriff of
You
Washington
use it for
County
other
didn't build that jail.
Because he actually for
Okay.
salary.
He didn't build it.
Understand?
But now, we'll do a lot of things in here, and I wanted to be heard, just what you said in here. We do a lot of cooking
Your talk.
Okay.
out there at the jail, at the sheriff department office.
All right.
I don't think that nobody probably in this county here handle county money like I do.
Good enough.
You got an administrator over there, she can tell you how I handle money over there.
Understand.
So we
We appreciate you, Sheriff.
shouldn't go
So
there.
can I make a response?
Oh, please do, Ms. Brooke.
I just sent a text to Hines County Administrator, because I just wanted to get some clarity of what you just said. They did give money, but he wrote boldly, nope, cannot be used for salaries.
We understand that.
So
We
I
can-
just want you to know,
we
it's
can
not
purchase equipment.
just following up with you, Sheriff and Sheriff Deputy. We really cannot use the money. Now, they may have given them $1 million, but it did not go to salaries. And
No.
this came from the county administration.
It did.
No, I know, but that was the biggest concern. You were talking about salaries. And so,
All right. All right. Let me do that.
well,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you. You know, and we do have needs. Ms. Carter, you
And I
wrapped
want-
up right? She's right. I'm gonna come right around to you.
Okay, I
But
wanna add-
we gonna close that. Oh, you
I
gotta add
gotta add an
something.
item. I need to add an item to agenda. Fred Berkeley. He wanted to be able to serve alcohol at his wedding on Saturday.
Where,
Fred, who now?
Fred Berkeley
where at?
at the convention center.
Yeah. Motion.
So moved.
Notice you take the appropriate paperwork. I need a second.
Yep.
Thank you, Jerry. All in favor of that approval, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
I got one nay. That passes. Yeah, make sure he has the appropriate paperwork and contact the sheriff department.
I need to have a copy of it too, please.
I have a matter I need to add to.
All right, Griff got something else you want to add? Give me a motion to add the
So
attorney.
moved.
I need a second to add the attorney.
Second.
And a motion second. All in favor, show by sign of aye. Any
Yeah.
opposed? Motion carries. You're on, Mr. Attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Kite has completed his appraisal work in the county, and I would ask the board to set a special call meeting before the next meeting so that you really need sufficient time to meet with Mr. Kite, to hear his entire report in executive session, as well as to hear his recommendations with regard to how how we go about resolving our tax-related issue.
Okay.
And it could be time consuming.
I hear what you're
I
saying.
I need at least an hour or so.
I hear what you're saying, Mr. Attorney.
Yes.
But, you know, none of us like special call meetings, but if you gotta have it, maybe the finance committee will be willing to meet with you.
I'm
I
talking
think
about-
this
I'm
is-
talking about
I-
meeting with Mr. Kite, Mr. President.
I
Board
think this
members-
is, I think it's too big of a issue that we all need to hear it at the same time. And now, I don't have a problem at just doing it in a regular, meeting at the end of it. I mean, I can.
No, it's an hour.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, but at the end of the
You
meeting.
can't do it at the next meeting. We've got the commissioner coming in. We've got the engineer off the project, the bypass coming in, and we have a person from Utah.
When will he be?
Next meeting.
No, I'm talking about, I'm talking about the attorney. When will the gentleman be ready to present that?
He's ready to present anytime the board,
Yeah, but are you
make
at
yourself
liberty today,
available.
are you at liberty today to say if we call a recess until, Wednesday, will he be ready Wednesday?
I can't do it Wednesday, I'm gonna be out of town, but Thursday, yes,
Oh,
yes.
I have 8 a.m. Thursday.
Off Friday.
No, I don't do Fridays.
Oh,
I don't do Friday.
What days
Unless
you
it's
available,
emergency.
Monday and Tuesday?
I've got an 8 a.m. tomorrow. I got an 8 a.m. tomorrow and Thursday.
what about 10 a.m. in the morning?
That's too soon for Mr. Kite, come on.
Okay,
He lives in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
okay.
Ooh,
Or
that's
Louisville.
3 hours.
I got a question. Didn't we pay him?
Not yet.
You paid him for a part of his report, but
We
he
ain't
hadn't
finished
Okay,
completed, yes.
so I think we need to have it in the morning.
He said he couldn't be here in the morning.
He can't come at all.
Not in
Now,
the
and
morning, is what he
Plus, I'm in
said.
court tomorrow morning.
What about Monday, next Monday or next Tuesday?
I'll be out all next week, so I won't be there. I mean, but I can do it any day this week, if he can make it this week.
It'd have to be in the
Y'all do
morning for
Friday at
me.
10?
So,
All right, see, everybody can't make it. That's why it's best
so
for a
are we
committee.
set with the next board meeting, Mr. President?
No,
Well, I
next
guess
board.
we don't have
Let me be
to.
clear,
Mine can be in the
we're gonna
morning.
manage the agenda at the next board meeting. We have a lot of issues going on with the bypass and concerns from the community. And we've got, like I said, the commissioner, coming in with his engineer and a person from Utah, representative, to answer some of these questions and concerns that we've gotten from the citizens. So you'll see the agenda managed, Ms. Hanson. We'll talk about it. They're on for 9:30.
What I would love to see, and I think the attorney's right, it does probably need to be a special called meeting, because we need to resolve this, one way or the other.
Not
But-
necessarily a special call, but certainly a recess.
A reset, yeah, I mean, as soon as we can, but here's what I would like to see happen. If we're gonna have this meeting we can bring this to an end one way or the other, why don't we have, him here, Grado Greenville here, and their attorney, and a third party to sit down with us to say, hey, this is, but then we're gonna have to.
Going to court, can't do
Yeah.
it.
No, I don't agree with, no, this is for the
This board.
county. The county has to make a decision. Greater Greenville has submitted proposals, and I'll share those with the board. I'm gonna
Okay.
send them to you. Okay, they have submitted proposals
Okay.
that they think are reasonable and they ought to be accepted, okay?
Okay.
But,
All right.
the recommendation, I don't think they come remotely close.
Okay.
They
to
would
what the
now?
county, I don't think they come remotely close to what the county would be entitled to based upon.
Okay.
what,
Okay. But was
Kinda
Wednesday a
said.
good day this week? Was
For
Wednesday a
him?
good day this week? You said
I'm not available Wednesday,
all day?
all day, I gotta be in Jackson.
What about Thursday?
Thursday, I'm available.
Everybody Thursday,
What time?
10 o'clock.
I can do 10 tomorrow.
Lee,
I can do it.
let's see where
Thursday.
Bishop is. Jerry?
Thursday, 10.
Thursday at 10. Will you send out a text on that, Charlisa? Will you send out a text on that, please?
All right, Thursday at 10, good. Ms. Griffin?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's gonna be let's do it. Okay. Anything else?
That'll do for now.
All right. Lee? I'm good. Oh, Bishop, no, Ms. Brooks.
Okay, so August is one of the things they recognize for National Black Business Month, so I encourage everyone to go out and patronize some black business here in Washington County.
Jerry?
I got a text, I don't know, very shooting like the wall here in Greenville on 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on, I think, Saturday morning. Like a wall going on. These people said that they feel unsafe and they were going to be prepared. They killed somebody they didn't want to charge with murder. This is getting serious. I got a text that morning. It was a reference to some shooting. They were speeding through the neighborhood, just not just on the street. They were speeding through the neighborhood and just shooting. Like Shad said, I don't guess no police was on. I know we don't have any police. Ain't got nobody in our board.
Okay, good enough. Daniel, did we miss you something? Oh, God, dog Marcus. Tommy's gone, he's out. But I talked to you all about the commissioner coming at the very next meeting. Ms. Carter, did we get a bill from Burley Engineering for the survey they did at Live Oak Cemetery? We hadn't got a bill yet. The survey is complete, and we'll go ahead and forward that to everybody, and we should be getting the bill shortly where they went out and actually found the boundaries. A survey, Live Oak, it's Live Oak? Live Oak Cemetery. Yeah, we'll make sure everybody get that, but just be prepared when that bill comes. You know, we're prepared to pay it, but we'll go ahead and send everybody a copy of it. And what we'll do, we'll have a gentleman come in from Wildlife and discuss, you know, next step, that kind of thing with Live Oak, if that's okay with the board. Ms. Brooks.
Yes, sir.
Forest Acres, you know, we got a bill, I think, for them that work they did. And, you know, the money, the requests that went to the federal delegation, along with one that I made, they were all denied. And what I'm going to be asking this board for is an opportunity to move forward. The one that I put on was an issue with flooding in the Bayou States area, up off of Gurdon-Ripner Road, up in that area. And so we'll look at that. I do have an opportunity with some of the opera funds still to relieve those people of that flooding situation. So we'll have some specs and some things that we'll put before the board, and I'll ask for an opportunity to put out an RFP for an engineering service to step in and make that happen. The one thing
I thought we already. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, we don't just,
But I know, but I thought at the end of the year, Mr. Anderson came on the board and we have to re-advertise again for engineering services, all of it, for all opera dogs. Like, listen, the last engineering firm, who's the engineering firm for the first year, this current year? For the opera services.
for Burley.
Oh, you
It
had,
was Burley. So thing is, once we get them, that's what we have to, you know, we just voted to advertise for architect, engineering, whatever, professional services. But once we get that person, that's the person that has to do the opera, for the next year.
But I'm under the impression that we,
Same difference, it's all opera stuff,
But-
all the same money. You have to do it every year.
held that, she right, it is, but my understanding is every time we do it, according to Mr. Smith, we have to go ahead and go through the advertisement, the RFP process. All right, so we'll do that. Now, one thing I will ask you for in addition to that is to put out another RFP for an engineering service to help and put a project together for the Broadway Extension Project.
Right.
We need to get that done.
I agree.
And I need to be able to put out an RFP so we can find adequate service to come in and make that happen. This has gone on much, much too long. At the next meeting, we'll be asking you to vote on that. Okay?
All right.
Now, we're gonna recess until 10 a.m. Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And we, take us how long, Mr. Griffin?
About an hour, sir.
1 hour. Everybody good?
you sure he can be here then?
Yes, sir. I spoke with him.
Okay. All right. I need a motion to recess.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second. All in favor, show by sign of aye.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.